Hello everyone, and welcome back to Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Now in the last episode we helped out Vostatek's other gamekeeper friend, Veril, and we just so happened to run into Hans Capon, who was actually poaching. And obviously being that we are in his service, we had to cover for him, and yeah, so we kind of lied to the gamekeeper and all, but, you know, even though we're trying to be mostly a law-abiding citizen, we can't let Hans get killed, of course. So anyways, next up on our itinerary, I suppose, is to go over to the Lower Samine Mill, and we're gonna help out the miller there, Crazel or something. Yeah, Crazel. And we're gonna see what that quest is gonna be all about. But we do have some perks to actually go through now. When I showed it yesterday, there was quite a few extra. That was because even though I did pick the perks from the last episode, I did have to reload a save at some point, and so it got all wiped out. So I went ahead and picked those perks back out again, and now we just got the ones that are remaining. So I think I have also decided, by the way, I think we are going to switch from the heavy weapons over to something bladed, and we may even drop the shield and try to go with like a longsword without a shield of any kind. So if that is the case, we're probably going to end up going with Martin's Heritage. So we'll get the sword fighting, crafting, and survival skills. So we'll go ahead and pick that up, potentially. Let's go ahead and look at these other ones first, though. So criminal brands disappear a quarter faster. Yeah, that's not going to be too useful for us. It's easier for you to convince others the nice way. You gain +2 persuasion, impression, and presence. People are more likely to try to solve crimes with you. Yeah, this is okay, but not going to be for us. And finally, Nightcrawler. At night, you have a +2 bonus on strength, agility, and vitality, and a +3 bonus on stealth. Pretty good, but when it comes to getting more experience, that is going to be what we're going to pick. Next up is on strength, and we already know what these two do. They're not really anything too good. Tight grip, the higher your strength skill, the easier it will be for you to knock someone out. This may actually be crucial. I would guess that some quests are going to rely on stealth, and I am already not very good at stealth, so something like this may actually be really good for knocking people out. You also have strong as a bull. Your carrying capacity will be increased by 20 pounds, which would actually be very good if we're going to be carrying a lot of equipment. Vanguard shield blocks cost you 30% less, so I think tight grip is the one that I can see being the most useful overall, but hopefully we can pick this up later because I would like to actually increase our carrying capacity for the moment. And then we have agility, featherweight, I've already skipped on. Dominant hand, so if you use a one-handed weapon without a shield, attacks will cost 20% less. This may actually be useful if we go without a shield. Deft hands, this is going to be the one we're going to go with for the same reason we picked the first one, which is that it lowers the agility requirement for all weapons, and it lowers the agility that the weapon requires to make it less difficult to fight with. So if, on the other hand, you have a higher agility, the stamina difficulty will drop. So basically, this makes it a lot easier to use weapons. That's why we're going to go ahead and pick that one up. Now we have Vitality, and we already pretty much skipped these three. I mean, I guess this could be okay, but we're going to look at Hermes Haste. You'll be 20% faster when sprinting. That seems pretty good. Or Marathon Runner. When sprinting, you consume stamina 20% slower. I'm going to go with Speed. Although I believe, yeah, these aren't exclusive, so we could actually pick up Marathon Runner as well at some point. And now on to Horsemanship. We already looked at Head Start. We looked at Ride Like the Wind. I think we already looked at Roadrunner and Wild Runner as well. So we have Final Stretch. When your horse is nearly out of stamina, you can spur it on to recover some of it. Perk has a 1/22 cooldown. And finally, Trample. If you charge into somebody with your horse, their morale will drop significantly, and they will suddenly be an easier opponent. That actually seems pretty good. I don't know how much we'll use it, but I actually think that's going to be the best. And now, finally, we have Houndmaster. The only ones, so Hunt will allow him to hunt for wild game. Search You can command Mutt to sniff out places of interest or hunted game. Yeah, not really something I'm too interested in. Charming Companion, when you have your dog with you, your charisma is increased by 3 at all. Okay, that is like probably the best. Now, Hellhound, if you have your dog with you, they will appear more threatening and tough to others. This will show in the presence and intimidation skill checks, but also in combat, as enemies are more likely to give up or run away. And if they don't, they'll have a harder time fighting you. That is probably going to be the next one we'll pick up, but I think Charming Companion, that is always going to be a +3 to our charisma. I definitely think that was quite worth it. So now we're going to head on over to the mill, and I will be back with you guys shortly.
Kurwa. What the?
Have you got it done? I said, are you done?
You're milling some pretty peculiar grain here, Miller. It's got a bit of a metallic flavor to it.
Kurwa. Can't you be more careful?
Tell me the truth. What are you really doing here?
Seems I'll have to lift the lid off the cauldron of knowledge sooner than I expected. You think you're ready?
What are you babbling about? What lid?
It was a figure of speech. All right, I'll explain it simply. I'm attempting to convert matter into a truly miraculous energy.
What?
I understand. It seems impossible. I'm sure you're asking yourself what that has to do with the metal in the sacks. But we're only just scratching the surface. You see, for my experiment, I'll need something sinfully earthy. Something we'll have to appropriate. And that's something you can help me with, my curious apprentice.
I'll help you.
That's the right attitude. Now listen up. In Troskovitz, next to the tavern, there's a rat house. And in that rat house, there's a chest. And in that chest is a document I need. One that used to be mine. But due to an unfortunate twist of fate, ended up there. It's cold. The offer of Hermes Trismegistos. It's written right on it. Can you read? At least a little?
I can read. But I reckon that's the catch, isn't it?
The catch is, the chest is under lock and key. And most likely well guarded.
Of course it is. And then you'll get me into Semin's wedding?
Aye. If you help me, I'll find a way to get you there. Miller's honor.
Where exactly should I look for this document? I doubt they've only got one chest in the Troskovitz rat house.
I can't help you there. But my hand Zinnik might know more. He had the document on him, but then the bloody fool got caught because of something else, and they took it from him. I'm pretty sure he's still on display in the stocks on the square. Just remember, lad, if you get caught like he did, the guards will turn out your pockets. And it would be pretty hard to explain what a tramp like you is doing with a document he can't even read.
No, I doubt the bailiff will let me roam around the rat house and go peeking through his chests. Any advice on getting in there without being spotted?
Oh, come on. Do I really have to spell it out for you? Black clothes, the play of light and dark. A quiet night, and those who live in the shadows, concealed beneath its veil.
Is that supposed to be advice?
Just get some inconspicuous clothing and head over there after midnight.
And where can I get some clothes like that?
I had my outfit washed in the Gilioff bathhouse, but after a bit of disagreement, they refused to give it back. It's my gift to you. All you have to do is pick it up.
Pick them up? You want me to steal them, don't you?
Doesn't it sound like a suitable appetizer before the main course? There's no sense in trying to deal with the owner, Dorothy, anyway. She's a contrary woman who's impossible to talk to.
I'm not even surprised your paths crossed. I'd like to learn more about the art of thievery.
Thievery? Humph. Why call it the art of thievery? It's simply an art. But all right, enough wordplay. If you want to learn something, go and see Hensel. He'll tell you how to relieve people of the things in their purses, or how to quickly and painlessly send them to the land of dreams. And if you'd like to try opening locks without a key, there's a chest in the barn that you carried the sacks to. You can practice on that.
All right. I reckon I know everything I need. Thanks. Are you Zinnek?
Yeah, look, mate, I really need to piss. Can you let me out of here?
Crazel sent me. He's looking for some document the bailiff took from you.
And what's the password?
Hermes Trismegistos?
I'm just shaking your pizzle. You should have seen your face. They caught me at night when I was robbing a merchant, and then they make any distinction between what I stole and what I already had on me. They took everything, including that document, and locked it all away in the chest of stolen things in the rat house jail. You could get into the jail from the courtyard behind the rat house. It's right under the guardhouse. Or you can get there from behind the tavern alongside the fence. As soon as you find the stairs leading down, you'll know you're in the right place.
Well, who's got the key to it?
Well, actually I had it, but when the guards shook me down, I must have dropped it. It was in the chamber, next to the one with the chest. They've got a pretty soft bed in there, I tell you. The key probably fell under it.
Is that the only key?
No, of course not. Every guard in Troskovitz has one. Best to rob one of them who's slacking off or having a nap. Look, mate, do you actually know how to pickpocket?
Of course I do. Wouldn't be my first time.
Good to hear it. They'll let me go soon, so if you get caught, you'll have nobody to keep you company here. Keep that in mind.
I have to tell you that there are some, things going on in the mill in Lower Semine that don't seem to have much to do with milling flour.
It's not the first I've heard of it. People come in here all the time saying that mill is suspicious. Nobody's been able to give me any details, though. Can you elaborate?
Well, where can I start?
Look, if you're caught up in anything shady, you don't have to worry. If you bring me valuable reports, I can guarantee you impunity. I protect my people, so you can speak freely.
Something's definitely going on at the mill. Crazel tasked me with carrying sacks. I thought they were full of flour, but then metal balls started spilling out. He wouldn't tell me what was going on. Instead, he offered me another job. That is, just a job. He initiated me into the art of wealth redistribution. His term for thievery. In short, before I knew it, I became an apprentice thief with all that that entails. But it didn't sit right with me, which is why I'm here.
Good for you, lad. All we've had so far is vague accusations, no direct evidence. Crazel and his hired hands are damned crafty. It's hard to figure out what his supposedly scholarly talk is all about. Now, I'm thinking, supposing you became our eyes and ears at Crazel's place.
You mean be your informant?
Well, let's call it a trade. Valuable first-hand reports in exchange for honest, officially approved groschen.
That sounds interesting. Where should I start?
Just carry on doing what you're doing for Crazel, as if nothing happened. Gain his trust. It can be dubious and dangerous. It's hard to tell what he has in store for you. You mustn't let on to him that you're working for us. And when we have enough evidence, we'll hit Lower Semine in full force. We'll lock the whole lot up.
All right. I'll be happy to help. As soon as I get Crazel and his band in one place, I'll tell you immediately.
I must be mad.
The offer of Hermes Trismegistos. That's Krazel's document.
Hey, you're not allowed here.
What? You're covered in blood, my friend.
I have that document from the rat house for you.
Excellent. I knew I could count on you.
I even managed to get my hands on the key to the chest with the confiscated things.
Very good. Give that to me, too.
Well, I thought it might come in handy.
Come on. Give it here.
Fine. Here it is. I took a look at the document. I couldn't really make much of it. Who's this Hermes Trismegistos?
My fifth cousin. We write to each other sometimes.
That doesn't sound very convincing.
Did you find my family tree at the rat house, too? Now show it to me, so I can finally get the knowledge. Good. Good. This will come in handy. Ah, yes. Of course.
What now?
That much? We're going to need more. A lot more.
Did you hear me? What now?
Sorry. I got lost in thought. I owe you my thanks as well as reward for getting me the document. And maybe another little job? What do you say?
Oh, don't tell me you've forgotten. I need to get to that wedding in Semin.
Don't worry. Your path is leading that way. Only it'll be a little longer than expected.
Are you yanking my pizzle?
Not at all. I'll get you to the wedding as sure as the heavens are above me, and the fire of the Creator is within me. But you'll have to wait a while. Besides, things are about to get really interesting. Step by step, we're moving closer to the great revelation.
Enough. I'm sick of listening to your cryptic blabbering. Supposing you first initiate me into the mysteries of your enchanting mill. This isn't any run-of-the-mill business, so to speak. I smell something devilish here.
Devilish? Not at all. It's high learning. Alchemy! And when I say alchemy, I mean real alchemy. Not some hocus-pocus brewing of potions for creaky joints and bellyache.
Tell me more about it, then. Maybe I'll learn something useful.
I wouldn't be so sure, but I've taken you on as an apprentice, so I might as well tell you something. Now, pay close attention. I want to make a golem out of dough. Then, using secret alchemical practices in theurgy, bring him to life.
A golem, you say? Isn't that a kind of pie? What are you going to do with a living pie?
Henry, a golem is a helper brought to life using divine words. A living statue endowed with massive strength. Can be made of clay, wood, stone, basically anything. I'll make one out of flour. Studying the Jewish Kabbals taught me a practice known as Maseh Bereshit. A mystic can use it to imitate the work of God. Just imagine. You know how helpful a golem would be at the mill? Carrying sacks, pulling wagons, standing guard. He wouldn't be much smarter than Zinnik, but he'd have the strength of 10 men.
My word. That sounds incredible. I have to see it.
So far, it's just all in my head. But if you're patient and help me, you'll see soon enough. It's in the interest of the advancement and prosperity of mankind. Just look at the Bible. Moses could command the waters and speak to God through the element of fire. And Jesus brought the dead back to life. I've no doubt that if our great holy Mother Church had been around at the time, they'd have crucified Jesus the same as the Pharisees. And all the apostles would have been burned at the stake.
So a golem, you say, made of flour? For the good of mankind?
Exactly!
And what about the good of me? You promised me a reward.
You already know that you can learn the practical application of certain useful skills from me. But for a few groschen, we could discuss the art on a more, let's say, theoretical level.
I'm overwhelmed with gratitude. Supposing you give me a few groschen first, as a reward for bringing you the document, and then I'll decide whether to trade the coin for some learning.
Oh, see now, I completely forgot. Here you go. So you don't go around saying that Miller Crazel is a pinch purse. I added in what I owe for those sacks you carried. And if you want some more work, there's plenty.
What's this next job all about?
I need to find a saltpeter pit.
Never a wasted word, eh, Crazel?
Short and to the point. That's my credo.
And how long will it take before you tell me what a saltpeter pit is?
A saltpeter pit is a pit in which saltpeter is formed.
This has something to do with that alchemy of yours, eh? I don't know much about that stuff.
Nitra is saltpeter. White crystals similar to salt.
And what needs salting here in the mill? Or is it supposed to be some peculiar Crazel wedding gift for a young Semine?
Nothing of the sort. The Kabbalistic doctrine speaks of saltpeter as a vessel for the inexhaustible essence of life. Those white crystals are said to contain the very essence of being. That's precisely what we need to give life to our golem. Thanks to the ingredients from Hermes Trismegistos, his feet will never get tired, and his fists will have the power to smash rocks. But saltpeter is the most important thing. Saltpeter will be the golem's heart.
So you're serious about this golem? And are you certain it'll work out?
Certainly. Otherwise, I wouldn't even try.
How much saltpeter will it take to bring to life such a big creature?
A lot. That's why I want you to find me a decent saltpeter pit. Do you understand?
I was hoping I'd learn something useful from you. But instead, you're making me wander around the countryside looking for some pit.
Well, you never know when an experience like that might come in handy.
All right, then. I'll look around for that saltpeter pit of yours. I just hope you know where to look, that you can point me in the right direction, and also that you'll get me into that wedding as a reward.
Yes, yes, and yes. Bonnie has a lead. She's a damned handy girl to have around. She can do anything you ask of her. But for you, the most important thing is that she knows how to look for niter, or saltpeter if you prefer.
So this Bonnie is some kind of witch who's in on this golem stuff.
Bonnie is someone I trust without question, and you should too. Not only will she teach you how to find saltpeter, but also how to differentiate it from common salt. The main difference is it has kind of cooling taste.
Hold your horses. You want me to taste that nasty stuff?
If you don't taste it, you could confuse it with some nasty rot. And you don't want that.
Damn right.
Don't be such a lily liver, Henry. If Bonnie can taste saltpeter, so can you. She'll tell you the rest herself. You'll find her in the lair. That's a secret storage space I have here just by the pond. Only my best people can get in.
How can I get to this lair?
There's a bridge over the mill stream towards the southwest. Take the path to the left, just behind it along the pond. From that path, you turn right, uphill, between the rocks, and you'll find yourself right in front of the lair. You can't miss it. Oh, and so I don't forget. You could pick some herbs along the way to see Bonnie. It would make her very happy. She's just been through some tough times. Her dog died, and on top of that, she has to spend time with that blabbermouth, Zinnik. On the other hand, Zinnik might be holding his tongue for a while after his encounter with the Troskowitz stocks.
If Bonnie spends time with Zinnek, she may want some spirits rather than herbs.
Bonnie? Never. Being a decent Christian, she avoids alcohol like the plague. Right along, so you're back as soon as possible.
To the lair.
Lord be with you.
I'm Henry, Miller Crazel's new apprentice. He sent me to search for a niter pit, and said you might be able to help me with that.
Of course I will. I'm Bonnie. Nice to meet you.
Bonnie? It's not a name I hear often.
It's not the name I was baptized with. In our craft, it ain't a good idea to tell people your real name. That's why we use nicknames. What should we call you?
Henry's fine.
Well, that's not very creative. You know what? I'll come up with a nickname for you myself when I get to know you better. Did you bring me something from the mill?
Actually, Crazel said you'd appreciate some herbs.
He's right there. Do you have some for me?
I've got something here.
My word, that's exactly what I need. The ingredients for the magic ritual.
What kind of magic ritual?
The kind where Zenek finally gets some sense into his head and stops making stupid beginner's mistakes. Just so you know, that mess with the author of Hermes Trismegistos would never have happened to me. Not me. While we're on the subject of rituals, did Crazel tell you about the golem?
He did.
And what do you think of it?
I'm curious to see what a golem made of flour will look like, but I'm mostly curious to see if Crazel will really be able to breathe life into it with the help of saltpeter.
I'm more worried that as soon as it comes to life, it'll slay us all with one blow. So, if by some chance it looks like something's going wrong, you won't see my heels for dust. And I suggest you do the same. But that's enough of that. We're not going to stand here talking about flower golems when we've barely just met. I'd like to chat with you too, Henry. Get to know you a bit. But if you're in a hurry to find Crazel's saltpeter, I won't keep you.
No. I have plenty of time. But where to start?
You know what? I'll start. When they caught Zenek in Troskovitz, I was scared out of my mind that they'd catch me and clap me in the stocks. I had to hide out here for a while, so I haven't had anyone to talk to. Life in the lair isn't all fun and games. Zenek and all the other mill knuckleheads were never worth much as company. So I'm glad the miller's finally found a normal hand for once. You've got a beautiful dog. What's his name?
Mutt.
What a cute fella. How did you find each other?
He belonged to this girl I knew, Teresa. She saved my life in my hometown, Skalitz, when I went to bury my parents.
Well, That's what I call an interesting past. I used to have a dog, but I don't anymore.
He died.
He started getting these lumps all over his body. He stopped eating, just slept all the time. And then, well, what's done is done. And what about you? What kind of family are you from? Also, thieves?
No. Pa was a blacksmith. I inherited something from him, I hope.
Oh, really? Would you teach me how to make, maybe, barrel hoops?
Those are pretty hard. Wouldn't you rather start with, maybe nails?
Sure. I'm pretty quick to learn and patient. That is, with one exception. When Crazel starts spouting off his alchemy theories, I'd rather run for the hills. What do you think of the old miller, anyway?
I don't think I've ever met anyone more annoying in my life. Most of the time, I don't even understand what he's on about.
Once he told me there's no such thing in the world as a man and a woman. Only mercury and sulfur. What are you supposed to say to that? Best to keep your mouth shut. Thanks for talking to me. It really is good to have someone to pour my heart out to. But now, about that saltpeter. Before you came, and before Zenek fucked up with the manuscript, We collected saltpeter all over the place, mainly in styes. It has to be scraped from the walls. Horrible work, time-consuming and annoying. I'm not going to lie to you. We also looked in a few chests, just in case. You know. Anyhow, now all the styes in the region are scraped clean and we're sitting pretty on a nice barrel of saltpeter.
Barrel is quite a lot.
For the whole Trotsky region, aye. Unfortunately, Crazel said we need at least 6 times as much.
6 times? Will one saltpeter pit be enough?
I reckon so. There should be as much as Crazel needs for his masterwork. If you're looking for it, you ought to know how saltpeter forms. Do you have any idea?
No, I don't. And Crazel, of course, didn't tell me shit.
Don't forget that saltpeter crystals are formed in places where something is rotting. It can be shit or carcasses. Well, a saltpeter pit is actually nothing more than a mass grave, the best natural saltpeter maker.
Crazel said saltpeter is a vessel for life energy. Well, I get it that it's left over from dead bodies, but how do you get it from shit?
God's mysterious ways. You know how it is.
And he also wanted me to taste it. That's nonsense, though, isn't it?
Unfortunately, it isn't. Otherwise, you won't know if it's saltpeter or some other shit. It feels kind of cold on the tongue.
Jesus. And you know where to look for such a pit full of carcasses, do you?
Not exactly, but I have an idea. Times are evil and there's plenty of corpses. A person who's digging holes and throwing dead bodies into them and doesn't even know he's got a a saltpeter mine.
You mean a knacker?
Exactly. And the one we have here in the region is also the gravedigger.
Ah, the gravedigger Ignatius. I've already met him. He lives outside Troskowitz in the direction of Apollonia, right?
Aye, that's him.
So I'm in for a walk to the cemetery.
Seems like it. Too bad you couldn't have walked around the county with us before. It was fun, and pretty useful experience. I learned a lot during that time, and I won't keep it to myself. I'd be happy to teach you something, if you want.
I'll keep that in mind.
That old gravedigger will be suspicious, so I'd bring him some kind of offering. He's always dragging those carcasses, so I'm sure he'd appreciate a slab of fresh meat from Troskowitz butcher.
Good idea.
He lives a short way from the cemetery, so at least the meat won't go bad on the way. Lots of luck, Henry.
Why do you work for the miller?
Because he pays well, and don't care how much coin I make on the side.
You mean by stealing?
And he doesn't ask any stupid questions.
What did you do before?
I got by any way I could. Believe it or not, I started in a convent.
You? A nun? Well, why not? I was in the cloisters myself for a while.
Oh well, different people have different fates. But we all ended up here anyway, in the armpit of the world.
What do you think about Crazel?
You're another one of those that don't know if they should love him or hate him, eh? Crazel is his own man. Once you learn to get along with him, you can't help but admire him a bit. But sometimes, he's unbearable as soon as he opens his mouth.
What do you know about the Troskowitz gravedigger?
He's a pretty tough old bird. He follows the rule, I'll treat you the way you treat me. And he appreciates when a fella's direct and open. But I probably wouldn't tell him everything about us.
So, Bonnie, the most honest girl I know, sent me. I'd like to see some dead animals as models for painting a church fresco. A scene from the apocalypse.
That might be a bit much, but you learn fast.
How was the saltpeter collection and tasting again? Sounds pretty disgusting.
It wasn't so bad. Xena kept whining about it, but being a saltpeter collector, it has its benefits. When you go and clean someone's sty, they don't pay much attention to you and leave their purses and chests unattended. We made a pretty decent amount on the side.
What, by stealing?
Confiscating property for the greater glory of God. I hate the term stealing.
Just like Crazel. Tell me something more about Zinnek.
He's Andy, that's for sure. But also a bit of a fool, to be honest. I don't care for Crazel's horseshit most of the time either. I do this job because it's fun, unlike Zinnek. He does everything for his own good, doesn't give a damn about any greater cause or other people. Actually, he really pisses me off with his attitude. And he entertains himself by coming up with the stupidest nicknames for me. Dunga, for instance. What kind of a bloody awful name is Dunga?
Oh, lovely. And what does he call himself?
Scruffy. Or Jan, Nicholas, Franz, Peter, Jakub. The most bland, everyday names. He tries to be careful, but then he opens his big mouth and fucks it all up, just like in Troskowitz.
What is this lair place?
Crazel built a store so all them honest, curious people in the mill, the likes of Hensel, wouldn't have to worry their little heads about what we're doing here.
You mean behind that boarded up door in the cliff?
We're definitely not doing anything there right now. Because of the mess in there. I told Zinnek to clean it up. I think he wants to see if the place will get so rotten that saltpeter will bloom on the walls.
You look like a yokel, lad.
Why do you work for the miller?
Well, how can I put it? Anywhere else, they'd have kicked me out by now. The miller's the last person who'd still give me a job. He says every idiot is of some use at least.
And you see that as a compliment?
I see a coin in my hand every week. That's all I care about.
What did you do before you started working for the miller?
A bit of this, a bit of that. When I was still a boy, I stirred lye at a tannery, and then I slaved away at a dye house. But since I came to the town, it's been, well, let's say not exactly honest work. That's what I'm best at, see?
What did you do before you started?
When I was, let's say, that's what...
What do you think of Crazel?
Is this some kind of test or what? I can think what I want and I keep my opinion to myself. And you ought to do the same.
Long time no see, eh?
Crazel gave you another job.
Yeah. I proved myself to him last time, so why not continue our collaboration?
Did you come here to make fun of me? Just like Bonnie? As soon as she showed up, she gave me hell over that manuscript.
No, not at all. I just need to find out something only you would know. What do you know about the gravedigger?
Not much to know. He's half gravedigger and half knacker. He takes care of both dead people and animals.
I'd never have figured that out without your help. Anything more interesting?
He's my father. And he's a wizard, same as me.
Yeah, right.
It's true. I was born the seventh son of a seventh son. I have the power of clairvoyance and I can raise the dead. I'm just hiding out with the miller until my time comes. I've been chosen to save the world.
Yeah, nice story. But if I'm going to get the miller some saltpeter, I need to know something useful.
Oh, aye. You're not much fun, are you? The gravedigger's as boring as you are. Also, he knows when he's being lied to, and he hates it. So don't even try it.
You see? That's the kind of thing I wanted to know. Was that so hard? So, Zinnek, have you any experience with saltpeter?
Oh, I never want to see that shit again. I still have the taste of it in my mouth. And Bonnie and me was taking turns tasting it.
Weren't you afraid a dead soul would enter you through it?
What? What are you babbling about?
Dead souls pass time in niter crystals, don't they? That's why the miller is looking for them. To bring the golem to life.
You fool! We're looking for saltpeter to sell to butchers for salting meat. There's good coin in it.
Well, the miller told me something different.
You can't believe everything he says. A golem in the mill. He's yanking your pizzle.
You're all just trying to confuse me.
Crazel's a good teacher. You know how it is.
What can you tell me about Bonnie?
Well, you mean Cheeks or Jezebel?
Are those nicknames?
Dunger, Snowdrop, Vixen... We always come up with the stupidest names, and nobody sees through them anyway. Bonnie's been here the longest, and has the most experience. I'm surprised she still puts up with Crazel and his mad notions. And I think she likes animals more than people. When I try to talk to her about work or weather, she gets bored.
What sort of place is this?
Our secret place, where we can quietly plot sneaky plans for our beloved Miller.
Behind that boarded-up door? What's inside that cliff?
You know, storage, rubbish, rats, filth. Look, I know Bonnie ordered me to clean up in there. Thanks to you, I'm sure the movement of goods will start again soon. So it'd probably be good to have some order around here. I just haven't got round to it yet.
Zinnek, I have a few questions about the saltpeter pit we're looking for.
So now you need me, eh?
Christ, can't you wash up before going out in public?
Ignatius, I'm gonna need your help.
Of course. How many are there? Where do you want to bury them? Shall we grind the teeth up, or do you want to take them away in your purse?
None of that. I have a different, slightly unusual request. Bonnie from Lower Semine sent me. We're looking for a saltpeter pit.
From Lower Semine? What pit?
A saltpeter pit.
I ain't never heard of nothing like that. What's it supposed to be? A pit to hell?
Yeah, something like that. At night, you hear the cries of tormented souls and catch the whiff of sulphur.
Well, that I can't help you with.
Not to worry. It's actually just a hole with some rotting carcasses in it. These white crystals form in it. And that's exactly what we're after.
You should have said you're looking for the pit I throw carcasses into. What's all this about Salty Peter? I'm going to go there anyway, so I'll take you there.
Really? That was easier than I thought.
Not even a chicken scratches in the dirt without hope of reward, though. You'll help me with something first. I have some collections from some Slatigo farmsteads, and I'd be a fool if I didn't use a helping hand. At least one day I can take it a bit easy.
You want me to help you with your grave-digging business?
Why not? You look like a strong fella. You'll be a good helper.
I have a better idea. You tell me where I can find that pit, and I'll give you a nice piece of fresh meat for it.
I won't say no to that. Show me what you have. Oh, aye, fresh meat. What a feast that'll make. Now, listen closely. That pit of yours lies at the end of a long journey that we'll take together on my wagon.
So you got meat out of me for nothing?
When I see how much you lot in Lower Semine are interested in it, I'm not just going to hand it to you on a plate. But thanks for the meat, and don't worry about a thing. Grave digging is a job like any other. Sooner or later, everyone needs our services. And if it wasn't for us knackers, folk would have to deal with their animal carcasses themselves.
Of course, I understand. I'm just a little worried about what people will say about me when they see me with you. I wouldn't like to lose the honor I've earned as squire to a nobleman.
Don't worry about what people say. They'll only strip you of your honor if you let them. So what then? Shall we take a nice little ride with my boys Snorter and Dragonfly here? Nice and early, at daybreak.
Let's get this over with then.
Didn't you understand me? We ain't going nowhere now. Like I said, be here at daybreak. That's between night and day. Do you understand?
I understand. I'll come at dawn. I don't know if I'm completely ready for this, but let's get going.
The dew is still on the leaves. The roads are clear. You don't need your horse. I'll stable him here. It'll be heaven for him. In any case, heaven's always close here. Hop on the wagon and Snorter and Dragonfly here will take care of us. We've got a long journey ahead of us, so get yourself comfortable so your arse won't hurt. So, you say you're from Lower Semine, eh?
Well, you could say that. I help the miller with whatever I can. I got a place to sleep there. Soon I'll be able to call the miller uncle.
I remember Crazel when he was still a wee lad. Even then he was a great big smart-ass. When I buried his parents, he was traipsing somewhere through the world. Maybe you heard what they say about Lower Sameen round these parts. Crazel don't sell short measure, not that. He looks out for his reputation, but his helpers have been seen often in the villages after dark, looking fishy. Or during the day, in the pillories. Don't that Bonnie of yours belong to that gang too?
Bonnie's an honest girl, and her friend Zinek is too. Crazel only sent them to scrape saltpeter off the walls of the sties, so that's just what they've been doing. From what she told me, they had nothing else in mind.
Lower Sameen's a thorn in the side for a lot of folk. Some on account of the competition. Some is just rubbed up the wrong way by that Crazel. Either way, all they need's the slightest excuse to grab their pitchforks. Go and grab the miller and shove his face right in his own millstone. Yeah! Yeah! Whoa, boys, whoa! Come on. Come on! Are you deaf? Oh, they're acting stubborn again. Now listen, Henry. Here on the left side, you'll see the ruins of a cottage that's been abandoned for a few years.
It looks mysterious. What treasures might be hidden there?
You'll soon see. I have a trap set inside the cottage. I wanted to lure a wolf into it, but that didn't work out. There's a deer rotting there unnecessarily. So hop in there and bring it to the wagon. Finally. At least we're not blocking the road too much.
Oh, Jesus, what a stench. Better quickly throw it in a sack and take it back to the wagon.
What do you mean already? What lackeys? No idea what you're on about, fella.
Two stinking bastards. This fella's with him.
I want to talk to you.
Look,
I'm coming. What's going on, Ignatius?
Ah, I'm trying to explain to these fellas we've got nothing to do with no thieving around here. They should go to Lower Sameen to complain.
Two stinking pieces of shit was sneaking around our sties and cellars and lining their purses with silver too while they was at it. Some scruffy and dunger. You must be scruffy, eh?
I'm Henry, and those, names mean nothing to me.
Like I said, if it's rotten carrion they're after, they should have come to me. A passion for knacking is the only thing we have in common.
Is that so? So prove it then.
Take a good look at me. Do I look like a thief? Or more like a commonplace, maybe just slightly grubby, hired hand? At this rate, you could blame any old peasant who's grimy after a hard day's work.
I don't know. I don't reckon I've ever seen a real thief up close.
Ask around about me and you'll find out everyone knows I can't stand a liar. I'll keep my promises and show up on time. So enough talk, and let's carry on to where duty calls us.
All right, listen. We'll be going then. But if you happen to run into them two thieves, you tell us right away. Got it?
Of course.
You can count on it.
Glad to hear it. Let's go, fellas. Maybe...
Get over here so we can carry on.
Not much left for us to do here, eh?
Hopefully our luck will hold out, and we'll only be breaking the limbs of carcasses today. The next farm's just up ahead. Hop on, and let's go. That was just a kind of little favor for me. Now we'll help the locals here in Jdar with their carcasses.
So far, I've just carried sacks. I already did that for the miller.
Yesterday, the good wife from that farm came and told me both their pigs died. So we'll scoop them up and haul them off. I mean, you'll scoop them up and haul them to my cart. She says it was a curse. There was a flash of lightning, the pigs started trembling, squealing and puking, and then keeled over and dropped dead.
And then Satan himself appeared in the sky. Happens all the time.
It ain't my first day doing this job, so I could see right off them pigs had been poisoned. The good wife swore them pigs were happy as, well, pigs in shit. She said they even let them go to a nearby stream to have a wallow. It flows here through the forest on the right. Since we're here, you ought to go and take a look around there. Check how clear that spring really is.
All right. I'll see what's going on there.
And I'm going to enjoy having a helper. At least for one day. Maybe I'll roll around in the grass here with Snorter and Dragonfly.
Jesus. This is disgusting.
What's next?
Those pigs came here to drink. Where to now? I can smell something upstream. Ah, here it is. Wolves must have killed them. They didn't even eat them up. I'll go and tell Ignatius.
What's next?
It really wasn't a curse. There are rotting carcasses in the water upstream from the watering spot. No wonder the pigs caught some disease.
Well, what do you know? I was right. I'll give you a hand. It'd take you all night on your own.
I took care of the carcasses. We can drive on.
Nice work. There's even a bit of meat left for me.
Yeah, you'd eat that. They've been lying there God knows how long.
But nicely in the cold. There's nothing wrong with it. Anyway, you won't be eating it, so don't worry about it. Let's keep going. So far it ain't that bad, eh? You don't have to take down no hanged man or bury an unbaptized child.
Oh, ever since I started working for the miller, all I do is carry bloody sacks. I must have carried more than they could fill in skallets in a day.
It can always be worse. Someone might ask you to roll barrels. Now listen to me closely. You won't be carrying anything at the next farmstead. Instead, you'll have to make one carcass there. See, the work of a knacker ain't just about clearing away dead animals. Now and then, you've got to put down some creature, so it don't suffer. Or, like today, to put it down so everyone around it don't have to suffer. In this case, we're talking about a dog.
I'm sorry, Ignatius, my friend. You can't expect me to do that.
In that case, as soon as we get where we're going, you can just get off the wagon and go and look for that pit yourself. If you don't do what I tell you, you're useless to me. So I'll be useless to you too.
Maybe there's another way. I'll try to come up with something.
Ha! That cur belongs to the greengrocer, Vizar. I've heard they're both pretty fierce. Don't draw too much attention to yourself at the farmstead. I'll give you some Aesop potion to drink first, and some meat and bane. Soak the meat with the poison and throw it to the dog. He'll probably be locked in a pen somewhere. As soon as it's done, we'll disappear before anyone notices anything. I got paid well for it from the neighbors, so don't fuck it up for me.
Oh, Sakra. The dog isn't here. The door's open. Where did he run off to?
Where'd you come from?
Bonnie? What are you doing here?
What are you doing here?
The gravedigger wants me to poison that dog.
Jesus! And are you going to do it?
Well, what else can I do? You're the one who sent me to Ignatius. You just tactfully neglected to mention that when you and Zinnek were acting as his hands, you robbed half the houses in the county.
Shit. It's all gone sour.
This is all I have left to do before he takes me to the saltpeter pit.
And couldn't you find the pit without that? Just take a look at that poor creature. I'd like to keep him in place of my poor dead sniffer.
You surely know how to pick 'em. Your poor creature is terrorizing the whole area.
It's not the animal's fault. When Zinnek and I were here last, I saw how old Vysarik treats him. He doesn't give him food, he abuses him. With a master like that, he won't last long. You wouldn't kill a dumb creature just because its master is a sick horseman, would you?
Well, you don't have to convince me. Ever since the gravedigger told me to do it, I've been trying to figure out how to save that dog. If you want to take him, I won't stop you.
You're a much better Christian than I thought you were. I'll take him to the lair. We'll meet there.
Hurry off now, before someone sees us together.
Come on now, boy. You'll like it in the lair.
What now?
It's taken care of.
Taken care of? What do you mean?
I set the dog free. He didn't deserve to die.
For fuck's sake, didn't deserve to die? We were supposed to get rid of him, because that's just what he deserves.
Bonnie from the mill came and took the dog before we got to him.
Well, fuck me. How much more is that girl going to steal before she has enough?
Oh, she'll take better care of him than Baysar did. All he needs is to be fed properly, and he won't be dangerous anymore.
I surely fucking hope not. Because if he runs off and ravages something or someone again, then we didn't help at all. Let's go before we start looking suspicious.
So this is it. This is the pit.
Slowly, boy, slowly. Have a bit of respect. Death always deserves respect, whether it's people or animals.
I was expecting some huge hole in the ground. This is just some hollow. 3 piles of earth and that's it.
3 huge piles, you mean to say? True, it used to be one big pit. But then I found out when you pile up carcasses in smaller pits and throw some wet hay between them, it all rots better. And the better it rots, the more nitra you'll have. Are you going to take some right away?
I won't. I'll just tell Crazel where you have it. I don't know if he'll take something away. Maybe he'll just make his own pit according to your design.
Now that would be a great honor.
Well, I reckon I'm delaying the inevitable. I'll still have to taste it.
You're going to taste it?
It's the only way I can be certain it really is saltpeter.
God's nails. And they say I'm disgusting. Wait a moment. I can't say I'm all that satisfied with your help, but I don't want you to think old Ignatius is an ungrateful bastard, so I have something here for you. Although, to tell the truth, you didn't much grow on me.
Well, that's a shame. Because I thought you were a pretty good fella. In fact, I'm actually kind of fond of you in a way.
If you're trying to come out smelling of roses now, don't bother. Here's something that'll definitely come in handy if you ever need to go through all this again. Either with me or somewhere else.
Thanks.
Taste it then. Get to it. This I have got to see.
Look at me. From a lord's messenger to a taster of cadavers. Cold and salty. This must be it. If you're going back to your cottage, I'd like to take a ride with you.
Remember how I told you I didn't like you? Well, that still goes. Have a nice walk, stretch your legs.
Christ, can't you wash up before going out in public?
I found the place where we can harvest saltpeter. You just head out of Troskovitz towards Apollonia, carry on alongside the road, then head off it at the right spot. Only it's not a pit, it's 3 piles of earth. The gravedigger Ignatius drove me there himself.
And is it the real stuff? Did you taste it?
Yeah. And I hope I never have to do that again. Ugh. I think the experience has changed me forever.
Oh, come on. You whine more than Zinnik. It's just commonplace salt. I was hoping it'd be closer. To go all the way to Apollonia. If I send 2 wagons, that should be enough.
What should I do?
That means I could mix a barrel and a half.
Krazel, focus. What else do you need from me?
Oh, sorry. What were you asking? About a reward? It's right here.
Thanks. How's it going with the golem?
Well, the whole thing is really appealing to a scholar of my field of interest and important for humanity. But certain circumstances have emerged which, unfortunately, move its creation somewhere further into the future.
Wait, what do you mean? So there won't be any golem?
Not for now.
What about all the niter? The life essence?
I admitted to myself it's maybe too much to take on, and I decided to go back to my roots.
So the search for saltpeter was for nothing?
Not at all. Saltpeter will help us create primordial matter. The origin. Chaos. Materia prima.
God. Here we go again.
As alchemical scholars, we actually have only one task before us. To penetrate the diaphanum and find out where it gets its disposition and power from. Only then will we understand the nature of the shadows.
Eh?
I'll explain it to you.
Tell me then, what's the next task then, Krazel?
From behind the closed gates of Trotsky come quiet whispers, carried by the wind, all the way here to me in the mill. Do you hear it too?
No. Reckon my ears aren't that good.
Scribe Erezine received a trunk from Prague, and in that trunk was...
The document of Hermes Trismegistos?
No, a book. And from an author more venerable than Hermes. It's thin, with a sand-colored cover, embossed. Ordinary at first glance, but the treasure's inside. You might say it's kind of an alchemical cookbook.
So I'm gonna have to pick some locks again, eh? And in the castle, no less. I'd like to know how I'm supposed to get in there. Trotsky is shut tight.
For some. The gates of Trotsky may appear to be closed to us, mere mortals. But why try to force your way in when there's a person they'll invite in themselves?
What person?
Hold on, we'll get to that. We've got the Samine wedding coming up. I can't wait to try out my new potion against drunkenness there. What about you? You still need to get there?
Certainly. It's why I decided to work for you. Or have you forgotten? I hope your promise still stands.
Of course it does. What do you take me for? Start getting ready. You've almost got a fine outfit, I see. But it still could be a lot better. Ad charisma tuendum. Say a prayer to St. Paul. Maybe he'll send you a few nice things from heaven.
So you'll really get me into that wedding? Am I dreaming?
No, you're not. But before you start celebrating, we won't be going by ourselves. We'll have company. Or, to be more exact, the 2 of us will be accompanying a certain person. Me as a friend and host, and you as a bodyguard, loyal servant. Call it what you will.
And who is this mysterious person?
A true lady will come to the wedding with us. Radiant as the morning star. refined as pure gold. All will be stunned by her beauty, and she'll be our lockpick that will find the weak spot in the gate to Trotsky. All it'll take is a little push, and clunk, the lock will open, and the book will be mine.
What weak spot?
The castle's weak spot is Chamberlain Ulrich, because he himself has a weakness for women. Of all the single damsels at the wedding, ours will be the most charming and irresistible for him. Noble or not, he's a mortal man, and he'll start to think with his male member. We will watch as he becomes feverish with lust. Soon, he'll be begging to take our companion to Trotsky. He'll pretend his motives are pure, so she'll be more comfortable. And when the Chamberlain becomes insistent, you, as her personal bodyguard, will accept his offer. Naturally, you'll say you won't leave her side so you can defend her honor. Once in Trotsky, Ulrich will do everything to get you to leave him alone with her. And that will be your chance.
I can hardly believe that you, of all people, would come up with such a straightforward plan.
Well, it's not all that straightforward. I admit there's a certain element here that makes everything more complicated. First, we have to find our gracious lady.
Where do you want to find this lady? Here.
Look, she doesn't have to be a lady per se. We just need a wench with a pretty face. We'll get her a nice dress, some perfume. She doesn't even have to speak. We'll do the talking.
Could Bonnie do it?
She could. The only hitch is everyone and his dog knows her face. Nobody with any sense would let her into the Sameen wedding.
So some bathhouse wench would do.
Aye, that should work. You can find lots of capable girls at the Zhelyaoff baths, including some who aren't so well known. It's true, Dorothy can be a bit unpleasant, but you'll be giving her an offer she can't refuse.
Dorothy owns the bathhouse?
Aye, next to the alehouse there. You'll tell her I'm offering enough groschen to buy 2 cows or a small cottage. That should soften her up.
All right. I'll take care of it.
Excellent. You're a talented, likable youngster, like Knight Roland of yore. I have complete faith in you. And don't forget, you're going to need to dress the girl up and make her smell nice so she comes across like a real lady. So, stop off at Troskowitz as well and get her a nice brocade dress and some long-lasting perfume. Mintha would be ideal.
Where can I find the dress?
Where do you think? The butcher's? Go and see the tailor. Bartoszek has just the thing in his shop. A beautiful red dress made of Tyrolean brocade.
Why that dress exactly?
Because red is the color of love and passion. Rich Tyrolean brocade is just begging to be touched. Ulrich won't know where to look. The dress is likely to be pretty expensive, but that's no obstacle for you, right?
Where can I find the perfume?
Emmerich the apothecary might have something. They say he makes some perfume for his wife. Or ask Betty the innkeeper. She may be a god-awful battle axe, but a nice-smelling one. Or get hold of the recipe and make your own Mintha. As an alchemy apprentice, you should be able to manage.
I'll be going then.
Once you've got everything ready for the wedding, we'll meet in front of the fortress gate. There, I'll let our lady in on some other details of our plan. But that won't be for your ears. Anyway, you'll be rehearsing your speech to Lord von Berghoff then, won't you?
I can't wait.
Okay, so that is that. So it looks like we are heading towards the wedding, which is actually one of the main quests. So we may end up taking a detour in the next episode. This one's gone on for quite a while, so we'll take care of that in the next episode. And we'll also deal with our perk points, and we'll have to get some nice clothes for that wedding, or we may just go on to some other quests for the time being. So as always, I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.